En México, un tornado ha golpeado fuertemente las regiones fronterizas con Estados Unidos, dejando al menos 13 muertos y 229 heridos.
A huge tornado touched down northeast China, and the twister swept across a highway and overturned a bus. Tornado also reportedly flattening several buildings and toppling other vehicles.
Poco a poco vamos descubriendo el rol que los océanos juegan en la regulación del clima y hoy sabemos que cerca del 25% del CO2 que emitimos a la atmósfera es absorbido en sus aguas. Y también cabe recordar que casi la mitad del oxígeno presente en la atmósfera proviene de la fotosíntesis del fitoplancton, cada vez más dañado, entre otras cosas, por los plásticos.
We are living on a beautiful planet, and as a human race, we've been here for thousands of years. Our planet didn't need to be protected. Life was flourishing on its own, with its own agenda. However, for the past 100 years, we have made a tremendous impact with our footprint due to the growth of world population and the industrialization of our everyday life. Economy, profit, and capitalization became more important than respecting our planet. Pollution is becoming a devastatingly huge problem that will endanger humanity for generations to come. One such pollutant is our use of single-use plastic. In 1997, oceanographer and racing boat captain Charles Moore experienced a tragic discovery.
The North Pacific Gyre has two garbage patches. It has an eastern garbage patch and a western garbage patch. The North Pacific Gyre itself is a huge system, probably the largest single climatic system on Earth, about the size of the continent of Africa, about 10 million square miles. That is a clockwise rotating current that takes about 6 years on the periphery to make one rotation. Now, within that gyre, that rotating current, there are sub-gyres, there are vortexes within that, and the eastern garbage patch is one and the western garbage patch is one. And the estimate for the eastern garbage patch is half the size of the continental United States. The eastern garbage patch can be thought of as the place where half of the plastic that pollutes our ocean goes. The other half is on the bottom of the ocean and in the water column, and we don't see it there.
All the little microplastics that you see right here have been either breaking down in the ocean or breaking down on the beach. So this is the eventual fate of plastics. They will degrade into smaller and smaller pieces and never actually go away.
We've now been to all 5 subtropical gyres collecting data. We've collected over 500 samples now. In these 500 or so samples, only 2 of them have come up clean, and that was off the coast of Chile, just before we got into the South Pacific Gyre. So what we know now is that we have virtually changed the face of the planet. We've changed our seascape.
Dozens of species are disappearing from our planet every day. Forever, because of us. It is truly a massacre.
And when one sees the seabirds and the way they're being affected, you know, and you look at the stomachs of the albatross that are dying up at Midway Island, once again, they're not these little pieces you can hardly see.
The reason why we're seeing so much plastic in the ocean is because our system on land is broken. We've created this system of convenience, this culture of convenience that's inherently unsustainable. So if we do nothing about this problem, our environmental impacts are going to increase exponentially. And it's not that the oceans will die, it's that we as a species will die. The planet will go on just fine without us. What's relatively new in this science is that this plastic is not just harming animals and it's not just unsightly on our local beaches, it's actually getting into the food chain. And this is where people really need to pay attention.
The work that we've done has shown that as tiny particles of plastic break down into smaller and smaller sizes, they're able to transfer once ingested from the stomach of the animal to their bloodstream, where they stay there for months. And so these tiny particles of plastic are able to accumulate in the very blood cells themselves. And these are things like mussels that we eat every single day.
You know, litter isn't the issue. You know, the issue is the production and use of plastics in the first place, and the fact that this stuff doesn't degrade, it doesn't go away. And what kind of, you know, egotism is it that we have as a society that we're willing to use something once for, you know, 5 minutes and then turn around and throw it into this magical place called away, and it's still going to be there, you know, long after we're gone, after our great-great-great-grandchildren are gone, and it's going to degrade into toxins and pollution and, you know, still be harming the environment and harming us, harming our children.
There's a lot of stresses happening on the ocean right now. Whether you're looking at ocean acidification, whether you're looking at synthetic chemicals going into the ocean, heavy metals, radioactive heavy metals, plastics, radars, you name it, turbidity, a lot of things changing the ocean. We don't fix what we're doing to the ocean, we ruin the building blocks of life. And it's that simple.
It's time for each of us to step into who we are. This is the most fun game in town. I've had the privilege of working with these amazing heroes on the planet. It's like these people who are speaking for life. They're speaking for the future. They have way more friends. Their bank accounts may not be huge, but can I imagine a better circle of friends to be with? This is the only game in town. Come and join us. Come and play and be a part of the solution, and we need every one of us. All of us offer a certain unique lens and creativity.
Every single person has the ability to make change in their own life.
This past Wednesday, WikiLeaks published 17 different documents related to a secret trade deal known as Trade in Services Agreement, or TISA, which has been taking place since early 2013. The trade agreement is being negotiated between the U.S., the EU, and over 20 WTO members. What's the main agenda?
The main agenda is the neoliberal economy, to essentially push deregulation of services and privatization of services. And it deals with both public services like a post office or school system, and private services like the financial systems. It's a massive agreement. It covers about 70% of the world's economy. And the interesting thing about this agreement is it pushes toward privatization. And once a country allows privatization of its telephone system, its postal service, its utility system, whatever, once it allows privatization, you can't go back to public control. It's a one-way street. We know from NAFTA that it's a job killer. We've lost 1 million jobs since NAFTA. We've had a massive increase in our trade deficit. It's been undermining the economy. We know now what these agreements do. Thanks to WikiLeaks, there's been a number of leaks on all these agreements, so we can see some of the things they're doing, and it's not good for us. By the way, BRICS, for some reason they're closed out.
Yes.
So this is very much a Western corporate fight versus those who have different kinds of governments and different kinds of economies. So all this triad of trade agreements, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Transatlantic Partnership, and the Services Agreement, all three of these really are pushing toward a whole type of new global corporate governance, where nation states are weakened, where democracy is weakened, where the people's voice is even made more quiet, and corporations gain greater and greater power. They will create a global corporate rule, and we will be the serfs.
IWF hat sehr, sehr vielen Menschen, Millionen von Menschen auf der Welt ganz extrem geschadet. Er hat sie in Armut gestürzt, er hat den Hunger verbreitet in der Welt, er hat mitgeholfen, Kriege vorzubereiten. An so einer Organisation kann man kein gutes Haar lassen. Innerhalb des IWF haben der einzig und allein die USA das Sagen. Also die haben zurzeit so um die 16-17% Stimmrecht. Aber alle Entscheidungen müssen mit 85% der Stimmen getroffen werden. Das heißt, die USA geben innerhalb des IWF bis heute den Ton an. Also im Jahre 2000 zum Beispiel hielten die Zentralbanken der Erde 70% ihrer Währungsreserven in Dollar. Diese Dollar können aber nur von der Fed, von der Zentralbank der USA gedruckt werden. Indem die USA neue Dollar drucken, machen sie sich ja selber reicher. Gleichzeitig aber verarmen sie den Rest der Welt, weil je mehr Dollar gedruckt werden, umso weniger ist der einzelne Dollar wert. Das heißt, auf diese Art und Weise ist die gesamte Welt abhängig von der Finanzpolitik der Federal Reserve, also der amerikanischen Zentralbank. Und der IWF knüpft dann seine Kredite an ganz harsche Bedingungen, die meistens den also in allen Fällen eigentlich den arbeitenden Menschen auferlegt werden. Das Weltwährungssystem mit dem Dollar als Leitwährung ist undemokratisch, das muss man ganz klar sagen. Das ist kein gleichberechtigtes System, sondern das bevorzugt eine Nation und gibt ihr die Möglichkeit, ökonomischen und finanziellen Einfluss auf die gesamte Welt zu nehmen. Es gibt eigentlich gar keine Möglichkeit, sich dem IWF heutzutage zu entziehen, weil der IWF hat sich entwickelt zu einem Garanten für die kommerziellen Banken. Also kommerzielle Banken verleihen eigentlich nur Geld an solche Länder, die sich dem IWF-Diktat unterwerfen. Weil der IWF ja dafür eine gewisse Stabilität sorgt. Der sorgt ja dafür, dass die einfachen Menschen ausgeplündert werden, damit die Banken und die Staaten ihre Schulden bei den internationalen Banken begleichen können. Deswegen sind die USA auch selber mit dem IWF in der Troika und so sehr daran interessiert, Griechenland zu stabilisieren und den Zusammenbruch Griechenlands einfach vor sich herzuschieben. Weil was anderes ist es nicht. Griechenland wird auf jeden Fall zusammenbrechen. Der IWF handelt im Auftrag der der Wall Street, der großen Banken, der großen Finanzinstitutionen, der Hedgefonds und der großen weltweiten Versicherungen. Aber für mich gehört also die gesamte Führungselite des IWF gehört vor Gericht gestellt und wegen Verbrechen gegen die Menschlichkeit angeklagt. Das Trennbankensystem ist in den 30er Jahren eingeführt worden, eigentlich als Reaktion auf die Krise auf den Crash von 1929. Das heißt, auf der einen Seite gab es nur noch die Banken, die das Kreditgeschäft gemacht haben, auf der anderen Seite gab es die Banken, die das Investmentgeschäft betrieben haben, weil das Investmentgeschäft ist hochriskant. Dieses Trennbankensystem ist aufgehoben worden und dadurch ist grünes Licht gegeben worden für einen Sektor in der Finanzindustrie, der in den Mainstream-Medien kaum Beachtung findet. Und zwar ist das Derivatesystem. Derivate sind Finanzprodukte, die mit der Realwirtschaft nichts mehr zu tun haben. Das sind im Grunde nichts anderes als Wetten. Das sind Wetten auf steigende Kurse, auf fallende Kurse. Sie können heute ein Vermögen machen, wenn Sie einen Staatsbankrott voraussagen. Sie können ein Vermögen machen, wenn Sie den Bankrott eines großen Unternehmens voraussagen. Also zum Beispiel die Staatsschulden von Griechenland, die liegen bei 320 Milliarden im Moment. Aber es gibt jede Menge die Leute, die Kreditausfallversicherungen auf diese Staatsschulden abgeschlossen haben. Und im Derivatewesen im Moment schätzt man, dass ungefähr zwischen 3 und 5 Trillionen Dollar fällig werden, wenn Griechenland wirklich bankrott geht. Das ist der wahre Grund, warum zurzeit Griechenland am Leben erhalten wird. Es gibt Leute, die das zu ihrem Geschäftsprinzip gemacht haben. Das sind die Geierfonds. Die Finanzindustrie beherrscht unser gesamtes Leben. Die Politiker, die an der Macht sind alles nichts anderes als Erfüllungsgehilfen der Finanzindustrie. Die Medien sind nichts anderes als die Vertreter der Finanzindustrie, weil Medienkonzerne heutzutage gehören ja großen Investoren. Und diese großen Investoren sind natürlich an allem interessiert, nur nicht daran, ihre eigene Rolle in diesem System aufzudecken. Man muss wissen, dass der Petrodollar eigentlich eine der wichtigsten Säulen der amerikanischen Weltherrschaft ist. Was dabei ganz interessant ist, ist, dass Russland einen Vertrag abgeschlossen hat mit China über eine ganz große Energielieferung und dass Russland diesen Vertrag mit China abgeschlossen hat, nicht auf der Basis von Petrodollar, sondern auf der Basis der russischen Währung, des Rubels und der chinesischen Währung, des Yuan. Es gab schon andere Leute, die versucht haben, sich aus dem Petrodollar zu entfernen. Und deren Schicksal sollte man sich genau angucken. Es war einmal Saddam Hussein, der ist nicht deswegen bekämpft worden, weil er ein blutiger Diktator war, sondern weil er sein Öl plötzlich anfangen wollte, in Euro zu verkaufen. Der zweite war Muammar al-Gaddafi. Und jetzt, um auf Putin mal zurückzukommen, Putin hat diesen großen Deal mit den Chinesen abgeschlossen und seitdem er das gemacht hat, führen die Amerikaner eine ganz aggressive Kampagne gegen Putin, gegen Russland und gegen China. Und wie es weitergehen wird mit dem IWF, das kann ich auf keinen Fall sagen. Aber ich weiß nur, wie es weitergehen wird mit dem Weltwährungs- und Weltfinanzsystem. Das wird auf jeden Fall zusammenbrechen. Was dann kommen wird, auf jeden Fall eine Phase großen Chaos. Das steht uns auf jeden Fall bevor. Und eine Phase riesiger sozialer Auseinandersetzungen.
The United States and its Western allies came to Afghanistan to wage war against terrorism and to bring by that security to Afghanistan, to the region, and also to their own countries. And this war has now been going on for 13, 14 years. without the results that we all expected. Unfortunately, the Afghans suffered heavily in this war on terror, and terrorism and extremism, rather than being defeated or reduced or eliminated, is steadily and widely on the rise. We have more radicalism today than we ever had before. We have more extremism than we ever had before. We have more terroristic activity than we ever had before. They should explain to the world whether they have failed in the war on terror or if the war on terror has gone out of hand.
GMO machine has been extraordinarily effective in squelching the conversation. How could anyone argue against at least labeling foods GMO if they have nothing to hide? If GMOs are safe and effective or propose any threat to individuals who consume them, why would you be worried about putting it on the label of the food that you sell? It's indefensible. Obviously, there is something to hide. Obviously, there is a concern. Obviously, they think that individual consumers, given the choice, would prefer not to buy that food. So what is their solution? Don't let them know they're buying that food.
Seit Jahren beunruhigt ein mysteriöses Rindersterben in Europa. Tiere kommen missgebildet zur Welt. Milchbauern verlieren ihre Existenz. Landwirte und deren Familien erkranken. Hat das weltweit meist eingesetzte Pflanzengift Glyphosat damit zu tun? Tote Kühe, tote Kälber. Viele davon mit Missbildungen. Aus Tierschutzgründen muss immer wieder die Todesspritze gesetzt werden. Die Tiere hatten hohe Werte des Pflanzengiftes Glyphosat im Urin. Und auch der Landwirt hat Glyphosat in sich. Glyphosat ist das Pflanzengift, das weltweit am meisten eingesetzt wird. Der US-amerikanische Weltkonzern Monsanto hat es entwickelt und auf den Markt gebracht. Unter dem Produktnamen Roundup findet es sich heute in nahezu jedem Garten- und Baumarkt. Mittlerweile haben fast alle großen Hersteller Unkrautmittel auf Glyphosatbasis im Angebot. Es ist ein Totalherbizid, das alle natürlichen Pflanzen tötet. Deshalb wird es häufig vor der Aussaat angewendet, um erst einmal alle Pflanzen auf dem Feld totzuspritzen. So kommt Glyphosat zum einen vom Feld zurück in die Ställe. Aber es findet sich dann auch in Brot und Brötchen, mit Folgen für uns. Im Jahr 2012 zeigte sich bei einer stichprobenartigen Untersuchung in 18 europäischen Städten, fast die Hälfte der Menschen hatte Glyphosat im Urin. Die Forschergruppe um Professor Gilles-Éric Seralini von der Universität Caen sieht eine große Gefahr in den genveränderten Pflanzen, die von Amerika nach Europa drängen. Sie sind resistent gemacht gegen Glyphosat. Und damit wird die Pestizidanwendung zu einem wesentlichen Prinzip des Geschäfts. Die französischen Wissenschaftler haben Langzeitfütterungsstudien an Ratten mit genveränderten Pflanzen und den damit einhergehenden Pestiziden durchgeführt. Mit erschreckenden Ergebnissen. Schwere Krankheiten, vorzeitiges Sterben von Tieren. Auch in Deutschland mehren sich die Anzeichen, dass Glyphosat nicht so harmlos ist, wie von den Behörden festgestellt. Im Sommer 2013 bringt ein dänischer Schweinezüchter in mehreren Körben eingefrorene Ferkel aus seiner Zucht zum Institut der Professorin Monika Krüger. Die Missbildungen sind extrem. Die Beine häufig verformt oder gar nicht vorhanden. Der Schweinezüchter Ib Pedersen hat einen klaren Verdacht hinsichtlich der Gründe für die Deformationen seiner Tiere.
Ich habe festgestellt, dass bei einem höheren Gehalt an Glyphosat im Futter die Rate missgebildeter Ferkel, die etwa 70 Tage später geboren wurden, höher war. Was ich hier bei meinen Schweinen sehe, und das kann wöchentlich geschehen, ist nur die Spitze des Eisberges. Ich sehe das immer häufiger. Und ich glaube, man wird das immer häufiger auch bei Menschen sehen.
Wenn das wahr ist, müsste sich solches nicht schon längst in den Ländern zeigen, aus denen das pestizidhaltige Korn kommt? Deren Agrarwirtschaft voll auf Chemieeinsatz setzt? Aus den Kinderkliniken Argentiniens kommen ebenfalls Meldungen steigender Fallzahlen missgebildeter Neugeborener.
Dies sind Fotos, die mein Vater gemacht hat im Krankenhaus der Stadt Paraná in Entre Rios. Dies hier ist ein Syndrom einer angeborenen Fehlbildung, zu der es kommen kann, wenn ein Fötus Agrarchemikalien ausgesetzt ist. Vor allem Glyphosat und dessen Begleitstoffen. Neben diesem Syndrom, das sich Sirenomelie nennt, also der nicht ausgebildeten unteren Gliedmaßen durch die Veränderung des Hox-Gens, sehen wir eine Ausdehnung des Kopfes, die sich Akromegalie nennt.
Die Behörden, amerikanische wie europäische, verweisen bis heute auf zahlreiche Industriestudien, die keine relevanten Schadwirkungen von Glyphosat konstatieren. Gleichzeitig häufen sich weltweit industrieunabhängige Studien, die ein erhebliches Schadpotenzial geltend machen. Derzeit wird das große Freihandelsabkommen zwischen Europa und den USA verhandelt. Eines der Ziele der Amerikaner besteht darin, dass sich Europa für den Anbau genveränderter, herbizidresistenter Pflanzen öffnen soll, zugunsten einer Agrarwirtschaft, die voll auf Chemie setzt. Gewinner ist die Industrie, denn sie verdient doppelt am genveränderten Saatgut und an den dazugehörigen Giften.
Electrical sensitivity is when people start reacting, their body starts reacting to electromagnetic fields. Generally speaking, the electromagnetic fields that they'll be reacting to is wireless. So it'll be wireless communications, it'll be Wi-Fi, it'll be cordless phones, deck phones, mobile phones, masts. All of them emitting signals that our body has never experienced before.
With the advent of the mobile phone in the 1980s, came the need to build a network of antennas to support them. Since then, the telecom companies have erected over 5 million mobile phone masts around the world. But incredibly, prior to filling the air with microwave frequencies, they didn't conduct a single piece of research to ensure there wouldn't be any long-term health effects from such exposure. The grid was built without first making sure it was safe.
Thank you for your help.
So, it's pretty ugly, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's constant as well. One thing you'll notice is it doesn't stop. It's 24/7. This is what's coming out of the mast. If you're within 200-300 metres of the mast up there, this is what you're going to be exposed to 24/7.
When you can hear it, it changes everything.
It does.
Imagine if you could see it. With so many phones and masts, and a mobile phone industry worth trillions, you would hope that by now, a strict governing body would have been installed. An iron-fisted regulator who ensures the telecoms industry errs on the side of caution. Someone to set strict levels which protect the public. Someone to ensure that what we're being exposed to is absolutely safe. Unfortunately, we don't have any of that. What we do have is ICNIRP.
ICNIRP is just irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Well, for example, if you want to make sure that nobody exceeds the speed limit past a school, set the speed limit at 1,000 miles an hour. Then everyone will obey the speed limit.
The way a mobile phone works is by sending and receiving microwave frequencies to and from the base station. So having a phone pressed against your head inevitably means your brain is being exposed to those waves. Does the brain react to this exposure? A recent American study shows it absolutely does. By using a muted cell phone, Dr. Valco's experiments showed that the human brain has a metabolic reaction to the presence of microwaves from a mobile phone. There have been countless studies conducted into the possible health effects of mobile phones, but the most conclusive came from Leonard Hardell, combining his own work with that of others from around the world. From the early 1990s, they have investigated the phone habits of more than 2,000 people from around the world. People with tumours such as astrocytoma and acoustic neuroma, the brain tumours associated most with mobile phone use. Their findings are shocking. They concluded that mobile phone use does increase the risk of a brain tumour.
Most of the cancers which will arrive haven't arrived yet. I mean, people haven't been using cell phones for long enough for the true effect to become apparent.
So what are the telecoms industry doing to protect its users from contracting a brain tumour? A flick to the far reaches of their safety manuals suggests that they are more concerned about protecting themselves. At the back of almost every single phone's user guide are instructions on how far to keep your phone from your body. Instructions which, in the most part, are wholly unworkable.
It's very, very hard to say where we might be in 15 years' time, but I would very much hope within a few years' time we do recognise just how much these ill health effects are actually costing society. And then we might wake up and look at the causes and realise we have to do something about the causes.
As this film is being made, 4G technology is being rolled out around the world. To accommodate this, the ceiling levels are being increased. Wi-Fi is in almost every single home, school and business, surrounding us constantly. If there's going to be a change, it's not going to come from them. It's going to have to come from us. We just need to open our eyes and see the problem.
Algunos expertos llevan tiempo estudiando la posibilidad de que existan ciertos portales misteriosos en el universo. Atajos que nos permitirían cruzar distancias terriblemente largas en pocos segundos. Otros piensan que no es más que una leyenda urbana que se ha extendido como la pólvora. Pero los defensores de la teoría buscan pruebas para demostrar la existencia de esos portales en la Tierra. Según ellos, hace siglos que alguien los usa como forma de enlace, pero esos no somos nosotros. Los extraterrestres podrían llevar miles de años visitando nuestro planeta a través de estos portales, pero no solo desde el espacio exterior, sino también desde otras dimensiones. Es posible que incluso desde otro universo. ¿Existen de verdad estos portales misteriosos en la Tierra? ¿Serán estos canales la clave que se esconde tras los avistamientos de ovnis en nuestro cielo? Es un misterio que se relaciona con antiguos volcanes y hasta con civilizaciones secretas ocultas bajo tierra. Una nave espacial de la NASA y de la Agencia Espacial Europea ha descubierto hace poco lo que algunos científicos creen que podría ser la primera prueba de la existencia de estos portales. Sus instrumentos han descubierto que hay una serie de puntos clave en la Tierra en los que el campo magnético del planeta conecta directamente con el del Sol. Estos puntos crean un conducto de 150 millones de kilómetros a través del cual transcurren una serie de partículas cargadas en dirección a la atmósfera superior del planeta. Gracias a esta nave espacial que trabaja con la sonda europea Cluster, la NASA ha descubierto que estos puntos pueden abrirse y cerrarse decenas de veces en un periodo de 24 horas.
Coming out today for the first time really publicly to explain about information that I have through absolute reliable contacts, which I cannot name for their safety, but involving what's going on in the Gulf of Aden in Yemen. Specifically, what the global leader are doing and the Stargate, which is absolutely real. It's not fantasy. They're calling it an anomaly and a huge magnetic field that is occurring right there at that location. They're calling it an anomaly, you know, they're giving it labels, where the water is actually in a swirling motion. It's actually causing a huge whirlpool effect. It's actually been going on for quite a while, but it's just now, for whatever reason, it's leaked out, or they have allowed it to leak out, I should say, that there has been major military ship movement happening in the Gulf of Aden in a specific location where they are actually hundreds of ships right now circling a designated area of open water. We're talking Russian warships, Chinese warships, Japanese warships, Australia, Germany, UK, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of piracy going on there. Well, these pirates, the Somali pirates and all that, it's absolutely false flag operations. The reason they're doing that is to gain fear of, everyone in that area, to keep them away. It's a very good manageable method to keep just regular people, the public, away from that area. Because, what's a better way to invoke fear but piracy and terrorism? They've been talking, even Obama has spoken about this new war on Al-Qaeda in Yemen. Why do they do this? The same ways that they did in Afghanistan. Afghanistan was not a war against terrorism. It was a war to gain more control in Afghanistan, because Afghanistan does have certain entrances to deep underground facilities. This is huge. On top of it, there is a research company that specifically deals in genetics and DNA that are specifically doing research in alien human DNA research with the genetics. That is going on at the same time there as well. But I encourage everybody that's going to see this to do your own research. Everything I tell you, do your own research, because, you know, if you don't question, you don't research, you're not learning and you're not waking up. One theory is that there are extraterrestrial beings that no doubt are opening or just now really coming about doing something with the Stargate for a definite purpose. Now, are these extraterrestrials friendly or are they unfriendly? It could be two possibilities. I do not know yet, but we do have friendly extraterrestrials that want to see us really become the world we're supposed to be. They're not going to come in and rescue us, but they definitely do things to help assist us move along. Are these the extraterrestrials that decided to open up this Stargate? And if they are, is the military and the global elite going to do everything they can to prevent this from happening so that they can continue their agenda, that the agenda that they have been told they have to accomplish within a certain amount of time, or certain beings are going to step in? That's absolute. Unfriendly extraterrestrials, are they running the show with this Stargate, and the military is there as really the servants, because that's really what the global elite are. They're not in power, people. They are serving someone else, something else, or whatever you want to classify them as. False flags are going to be happening more. Based on my intuition and my intelligence that I have gathered, something else big is going to happen in the United States, and it's all being done to invoke this war on terror in Yemen for movement with the Seagate. Is it going to be to help escort these beings from off planet, or are these, friendly beings are trying to do something, and we're already in a galactic war that's happening now?
subconscious mind is the data storage center of the brain. It recognizes simple shapes and colors and takes in any information that the conscious mind cannot figure out. The subconscious is not just a storage center, however. It is in control of our five senses, and it makes important decisions even before the conscious mind becomes aware of them. The subconscious mind is what determines our view of reality and how we manifest it. It is of the utmost importance that we are careful what we program it with. Brainwaves are electrical messages sent back and forth between neurons in the brain. Of the 5 different types of brainwaves, the alpha wave is known to be the best for learning new ideas. Advertisers know it to be a fact. They depend on the hypnotic effect of the television to put viewers in the alpha brainwave that connects them to the subconscious mind. When you watch television, your brainwaves change. The first thing that happens is you go from beta wave, normal waking consciousness, to alpha wave, a relaxed state in which you can easily be programmed with encoded information and triggers. Alpha brain waves link the conscious mind with the subconscious. The flicker rate of the television was purposely designed to put the viewer into a hypnotic trance. Today, at 60 Hertz, or 60 frames per second, your conscious mind is overwhelmed and the subconscious takes over. This means that the conscious mind does not have a chance to logically discern what it sees. Instead, the unaltered information is accepted and stored by the subconscious mind, where our perceptions of the world are formed. Children under the age of 7 are naturally in a hypnagogic state, trying to learn the rules of this world they were born into. These are the most vulnerable ones that we need to watch out for. Children who watch television are being programmed with what they will base their entire lives on. The neural pathways of the brain are constantly reforming themselves, based on the information that comes in. The pathways are set according to what your daily habits are. When you change your habits, or just change your mind, you begin to form new pathways. You can actually train your brain this way. However, if you are allowing someone else to train your brain, you are giving them the ability to reform and reshape the neural pathways of your brain for you. You begin to accept new perceptions as your own, not realizing it was an outside source that programmed your thoughts. There are certain frequencies that are harmoniously based on sacred geometry. One of these frequencies is 432 Hertz. For thousands of years, the musical standard for tuning instruments was A equals 432 Hertz. However, the American Standards Association decided to follow the lead of Nazi Joseph Goebbels and changed the standard tuning frequency for all musical instruments and music to 440 Hertz. Modern music worldwide is now tuned to this harmful, disharmonious vibration, literally off-key, that agitates the human frequency and promotes hostility and antisocial behavior. The frequencies of human emotions have now been measured and recorded. They can be sent through television and radio transmissions to the masses or to one individual in particular by targeting their personal brainwave resonance. The screen of the device, whether it is television, computer, or cell phone, can pulse the frequency at the user. These emotional transmissions are often based on fear and anger. The best way to ensure you are not being pulsed with harmful frequencies is to turn the device off.
delicate relationship had been struck between life and the frequency of the planet, an interaction of living organisms and electromagnetic frequencies, a reliance, a bond. Evidence of this can be found by reading the science papers, but more obvious proof can be found by simply walking outside. The frequency of the alpha waves, recorded by Hans Berger, were almost identical to Schumann resonance. The frequency of the Earth. Dr. Ankermüller immediately contacted Schumann to convince him to investigate further. Schumann agreed and worked alongside one of his students to refine his discovery. They studied in detail how tension is discharged by lightning in the Earth ionosphere cavity. Eventually, they came up with an exact frequency. The pulse of the Earth, Schumann resonance, was exactly 7.83 Hertz. The discovery was remarkable. Schumann resonance wasn't just similar to the alpha waves of the human brain, it was identical. The brain's frequency, which controlled our creativity, our performance, our stress, anxiety, and our immune system, had somehow tuned in to the frequency of the planet. The pulse of the Earth had become the pulse of life itself. We are a brilliant, yet complex organism. The way that our body functions isn't by chance, nor is it something which has happened overnight. Like every other creature on this planet, we have adapted into the environment we exist in. An environment which, since the beginning of time, has had a delicate balance of fields and resonances. These phenomena don't just surround us, they make us what we are. The cells of our body communicate with each other using light frequencies. Our DNA uses electromagnetic frequencies to reproduce itself. At the core of everything are protons and electrons, positive and negative, making all life magnetic. We are, as all life is, equipped with cryptochrome cells, which allows us to sense those fields in ways we barely understand. We are beings of frequency, electricity, light, and magnetism.